Is good, everyone. This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. And I'm back with another incredible guest, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest helps overwhelmed students and working professionals beat procrastination, master science-backed learning methods, and finally take control of their academic success without burning out. He is the founder of The Study Coach. Please welcome Tom Vorselen. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Deanna, and thank you for the kind introduction.
Well, I'm excited to get into this because actually, like you mentioned something, there are some misconceptions around people that you work with. So I want to dive into that. But let's share with the audience where you're joining us from.
Yeah, so before I do that, I want to say thank you for having me on. You've been doing amazing work. I don't know how many episodes already. So you congratulated me on my Instagram following, and I want to congratulate you on the podcast work that you're
Thank
doing.
you. Thank you.
So yeah, with that, everyone listening, also do Deanna and me a huge favor and leave a rating and review on the platform that you're listening to
Yes.
before we dive into details. So a bit about me, indeed. My name is Tom Vorselen. I'm the founder of the Study Coach I'm from the Netherlands originally, and we work with people all over the world, students, working professionals who struggle indeed with procrastination, bad learning habits, constantly feeling overwhelmed. And my goal is to help them indeed with science-backed learning, improve time management methods such that they can perform better, feel more in control, and reach their goals indeed without sacrificing their mental and physical health. And yeah, it's coming from an interest where I personally struggled. I felt dumb. I experienced a lot of self-doubt, stress, and frustration because I couldn't learn. And then when learning science became clear to me, my whole life changed. And now I'm teaching people all over the world to do the same. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and I'm looking forward to share that with your listeners.
I love it. And you did say that there's a misconception of the people, the ages of people you work with, which I find kind of interesting, but it doesn't surprise me, right? So you said 29 to and people in their 40s. And I would have to imagine that to reframe your way of learning has got to be much different in those age groups versus when you're much younger.
Mm. Yeah, and the funny thing is that, oh well, it's not really funny when you think about it, but a lot of people don't know about learning science. And the reason why is because we spent around 13,000 hours at school between the age of 5 and 22. And how many of these hours are dedicated to teaching people about how to learn,
Yeah.
how to manage their time, how to deal with stress and overwhelm, like the executive functioning skills?
Yeah.
It's close to zero. So all of these people who are now in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, they use outdated and bad learning methods. For example, rereading, highlighting, or passively watching a lecture or listening to a podcast or something
Yeah.
audio. And that isn't yielding them the learning results. So they get stuck in terms of courses, certificates, and they can't move forward, and they never really understand how or why. And that's because they just simply never learned about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
now,
it's not funny. Yeah.
where does the focus come into play? Because I've seen as I've gotten a little bit older, like I used to love to read, right? I used to love to read. I have tons and tons of books. But now as I've gotten a little bit older, it's a little bit harder for me to stay like focused on reading a book cover to cover. I mean, occasionally I'll get through one, but it's just been like I've noticed that as I've gotten a little bit older, it's a little bit more challenging for me.
Mm. A question in return. Do you think it's because you're getting older, or do you think it's because distractions and attention span is shrinking due to the use of social media and other platforms?
Probably both.
Okay.
I'd say
Yeah.
both. No, because I do get that. Like we are pulled in so many different directions and we have so many distractions around us that yeah, I definitely would say that there's that the social media part that's affecting that as well.
Yeah, and what we indeed see is that attention spans are shrinking like massively due to indeed short form content and people not really having the attention span to listen something from the beginning till the end without doing something else, like really focusing on one task. And that is because also in our work life, we're just pulled in all of the direction. Colleagues
Yeah.
needs this from you, boss needs that from you. You have your own tasks going on. So you're
Yeah.
constantly switching between tasks and therefore depleting a lot of brain energy, which makes it then harder to still have some energy left at the end of the day to maybe do something meaningful for yourself, aka reading a book. So it's not probably that you're like missing focus or concentration. It's more that you've been consuming and using so much brain energy that there might not be enough left in the tank also to focus and concentrate on the task. So there can be super many factors
Yeah.
that come into play regarding that.
So how do you counteract that with your program?
Mm. So I think what a lot of people try to do is they work full time, for example, and then they come home and they take care of the kids, they cook the dinner, and then they kind of like force themselves directly into the studying or like the
Sure.
learning. And I think that indeed is where there might be room for improvement, because ideally, what we want to do is we want to find a time in the day where energy and focus and concentration is highest. For some adult learners, this is early in the day. So even before the kids wake up and before they go to work, such that they can use all of their brain power and energy after a good night of sleep to focus on something that will eventually move them forward in career or indeed in studies. If that's not possible for whatever reason, then we highly recommend that they take an exercise break in between. This can either be 20 to 30 minutes of walking, jogging, cycling, because indeed science has found moderate exercise for 20 to 30 minutes boost focus and concentration for the next 2 hours. So having like an exercise snack after, dinner and taking the kids to bed, and then sitting behind the desk, you will see that you can probably focus and concentrate better. So there's two options there
Sure.
when people struggle with that.
Interesting. So tell us a little bit about science-backed learning. I don't think I've ever had this conversation before, so I'm curious. Like, what does that mean, and what does that look like?
Okay. Yeah. So as we mentioned earlier, a lot of people have never learned about the science of learning
Yes. No.
because it's never taught at school. So recently, I would say the last 20 years, the science around learning is developing. So therefore, it's also pretty recent. And I think the misconception that a lot of people have is more hours equals better results.
Yeah.
However, more hours with bad methods, and bad methods, I'm referring to rereading things,
Yes.
highlighting things, or passively consuming things, is just a false sense of productivity when it comes to learning. You think, oh, I'm spending so many hours. One day later, I ask you, what did you learn yesterday? You're like, blank. I can't
Yeah.
recall anything.
Yeah.
That brings me to indeed one of the most important things of learning, recall, which is actively retrieving information from memory, has been shown to increase knowledge retention by up to 150%. So,
Wow.
what does that mean? Well, let's give an example. If I were to ask you right now, can you mention the three learning methods that I shared with you that are actually bad,
Three learning methods.
that are not good? So I mentioned them twice in the
So,
podcast
so
already.
the
Can you
short, the
recall
short
them?
form content, right? Is that one?
That's for the attention span. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, then I don't remember.
All right. So it's rereading,
Oh,
highlighting, and
okay.
passively consuming
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Right.
So I reread a
So
lot. I don't highlight, and I would say I definitely passively consume. So yeah, I'm
gotcha.
guilty of two of those things.
Okay, all good. Right. So by me asking you this question, I'm directing your attention to come up with the answer and
Yes.
seeing if you have been actively listening to
Mm,
what is being shared. If you test yourself indeed over and over on content that you're consuming, knowledge retention is going to increase and you have higher chances of retaining it and therefore doing well on an exam. This is just one of the methods. There's like 8, 9, 10 types of methods that we can go over and get into detail
yeah.
with, but we'll probably need more than half an
Yeah.
hour that we have today.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. So for me, I'm gonna speak for myself personally, but I'm sure you have plenty of examples of people that you work with. Like there's good and bad days, right? Where we're more able to consume and recall things that we have learned. I know that I have good days where it's like, wow, I'm like on it like this. And then there's other days where I just can't even like remember like the last sentence I read. You know what I mean? And so like And I would have to agree when you said that there's a lot of we're distracted and a lot of like our we're tired. Like the fatigue of our mind is tired. And
Yeah.
so and I think that that's probably comes into a big part of like what keeps me from maintaining or recalling that information. So how do you in your coaching when you work with your clients, how do you prevent them from that fatigue from happening so that they recall the information so they're not rereading, highlighting and doing,
Mm. Yeah, I think let's take an example of indeed a student that we worked with.
Okay.
Her name was Delphine. She worked in consultancy for 30 years and she wanted to get into nursing
Oh, wow.
when she was 58,
Good
right?
for
So
her.
she was,
Holy
yeah,
cow.
she was making a huge career shift after 30 years in consultancy. And she came to me and she said, Tom, indeed, I'm always tired. I'm exhausted. I feel overwhelmed. I can't retain the information. What am I doing wrong? So there's multiple pillars that we try to tackle because there's not like just one solution. It's of course multiple facets of life that need to change. And the first one that we always look at is indeed time and energy management, especially for
Okay.
adults, because
Yeah.
you have indeed maybe a full-time job, maybe kids, and a bunch of other responsibilities. So how do we allocate time and where is our energy going? So we do an energy audit by asking them, okay, for every hour, give it a rating. Like how energetic were you,
Mm,
such that we have eventually a overview of their most active and useful hours, and then we're going to see, okay, can we fit the learning for the course or for the exam into those moments where possible. So first a
okay.
bit of analysis, and then seeing how we can leverage that time. Then the second thing is indeed optimizing the learning strategies because we don't want them to spend an hour rereading and they're not retaining information.
Sure. Yeah.
So we'll teach them indeed new learning methods that they can use step by step. So on day one, they might use a different learning method than on day two or on day three because learning happens in layers. Again, like I can talk hours about
No,
this, but
this
just
is
for the idea,
fascinating. This is
yeah,
fascinating to me. And you're almost like helping them fit the learning into their lifestyle. Is that what I'm understanding?
exactly. And
Yeah.
then we indeed also teach them methods how they can indeed rapidly increase their retention, their understanding, but also the
Okay.
application of knowledge, where we indeed see around the exams, people are testing for applying, evaluating, and analytical skills. However, still the most common good learning methods, for example, flashcards, is very popular. It's a very surface level learning method that only helps with retention, remembering
Okay.
information, and doesn't really go into how do I apply the knowledge, how do I evaluate or analyze.
Oh,
So
okay.
even though people are getting into some better learning methods, they're usually still too surface level to really excel in a topic or in an exam or a course.
Wow. So when you work with your clients, you're giving them a pathway so that they can retain and apply the information that they're looking to, like you said, this woman that's becoming a nurse at 58. God bless her. Like that is just amazing to me. I can't even imagine doing that. Like I'm smart. I think I'm pretty smart, but I would not want to go back to school at 50.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's
No,
amazing.
she did amazing. Like from she has diagnosed ADHD, so she was
Oh,
also taking medication for ADHD and anxiety.
oh wow.
I'm not saying that I can cure these things, but with our approach, we create a lot of structure and overview. And therefore, this lady, she reduced both of the medication for anxiety and ADHD because she just became more focused and concentrated in a natural way.
Yeah.
And she started scoring never below 90% on every single exam. So, in terms of her performance, she was in the top 10% of the class. At 58, while she had all of these beliefs like, I'm too old, I can never do
Well,
this,
yeah.
all of
And
that. Yeah,
especially for women, when we get into a certain age bracket, our hormones really mess with our ability to really stay clear. Like brain fog and all of that is a big side effect of what we go through when we're in a later stage in life. And so that is just amazing. I think that is phenomenal. So what is your success rate with people that you work with? So you're essentially giving them the tools to learn how to study. You're not helping them with the subject matter itself, correct?
correct. I'm not a tutor. No.
You're not a what?
A tutor. So we
Oh, a
don't
tutor.
teach biology or we don't teach
Right.
math or English grammar or something like that. I would
Yeah.
need to have 15 more degrees to be able to teach everyone in their
Well,
courses
right.
specific. Yeah.
Yeah.
But indeed, we focus on the science of learning, improving indeed time and energy management, and dealing with procrastination. And the reason why this works is it doesn't matter which course you follow.
Sure.
These principles can be applied to any area of study, but also of indeed self study. So if you're interested in a book and you apply these methods, you're going to retain more, you're going to have a better understanding, and you can apply the knowledge better. So yeah, with the regarding the answer, the question of the success rate, we are working with people in medicine, in engineering, in psychology, in business, in law. I worked with a pro poker player who wanted to have better understanding. I work with entrepreneurs who are indeed continuously learning in the field of accountancy, for example.
Yeah.
And I don't have degrees in all of these fields, but we still have a 98% success rate. I wish I could say 100%, but there
That's
have
still a
been
pretty high
occasions.
percent.
Yeah, we have had occasions where people came in to our program and said, "Tom, I have 6 retakes," and 6 retakes is it's ambitious to work on, but I was very clear, like, hey, I can't guarantee that we, sort out all of the 6 retakes in a, 2 or 3 month period. We with the one student we managed to do 4 out of 6, and with the other we managed to do 5 out of 6 in their first
Wow.
round. But then we continued working together with them until they also passed the final retake. But yeah, that's why I don't always have 100%. Well, if you consider that she eventually passed the retake in the
Sure,
second try
sure, sure.
again, like
Yeah.
it works. But yeah, we usually work with people for a period of like 3 months. And with that,
Okay.
we've seen that the majority of people can develop this new learning system and these new habits, which they
Wow.
then can copy paste in new semesters or new exams. And they don't need to continue working with us for the rest of their life. Yeah.
That's beautiful though. Like you are giving them such a gift.
It sometimes feels like that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Like, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to do that within a short period of time like that, because usually when people start working with a coach, it tends to be like you for a longer period of time. But if you're able to give them the skills that they need within 2 to 3 months, that's huge.
Yeah. And it's super fun. Like
Yeah,
people, when they start seeing that, I get goosebumps just like thinking about it again. If
I love it.
someone comes in and tells me, Tom, I'm so desperate, I don't know what to do anymore. Like I'm sitting above the desk with my hands in my hair, and I'm so frustrated with myself about not retaining this information. Within 3 months, they come on the closing or like the celebration call and they say, Tom, this has been one of the best decisions in my life. And I passed the course with like 97.7%. I only had one mistake on the exam. I feel so much more confident. I feel a lot better about myself. I have less self doubt. It
Yeah.
changes their whole perspective of what they are capable of as a human being. And well, when we tie that into like living label free, I think, you know, developing these type of skills and then showing what you are capable of as a person makes you feel label free or live more freely
Yes.
because you
Yes.
you can think like I can take on the world almost.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
yeah.
I think when you're before that point of being able to embrace those skills, you are putting those negative labels on yourself because you can't get over the hump. And so when they're able to grasp and hold what you're able to teach them so that they can move forward, there is probably a sense of freedom that comes with that. Like, oh, I'm no longer holding myself back mentally and, thinking that you have all these problems that you really don't. You just haven't been given the skill set to fix it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so really quick before we get into like your CTAs and all that, what does it look like when someone reaches out to you? Like, how do you develop that program? Is it the same program for everybody? But I mean, everybody's different. So, what does that look like when somebody says, "Hey, Tom, I love what you're offering. I'm looking to get back into school and I'm having a hard time focusing." So, can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for asking that question because I think it's very important indeed to mention that we don't have a one size fits all kind of solution.
Yeah.
Your situation is completely different than a full-time student's situation. which is completely different from someone who works part-time and has no kids or does have a
Yeah.
family. So when someone reaches out, the first thing that we always do is we just have open consultation call. Like, what are your challenges? What are you struggling with? Where do you want to go? What does that look like for you? And then we always provide the opportunity to work with a one-on-one coach in our team, because that way we can tailor the program and the skills to their situation.
Sure.
So there's always that one-on-one coaching component. Next to that, they get continued chat support. So if they're ever stuck, send us pictures, send us where you're stuck, like such that we can give voice notes and we can show our screen and we can help you in those moments. But one of the things that I love doing the most, and I think a lot of programs don't do it, a lot of programs have a pre-recorded course, like, oh, here, watch the videos and implement it. We have that too, but I think the biggest value in our program is from our live workshops.
Mm.
Every week, I host multiple workshops where I teach a method and we're going to implement it together. We're going to try it. So, just like I
I love
tried
it.
with you earlier today, like what are the three
Yeah.
methods? I'm going to teach a learning method. They're going to implement it for 20 or 25 minutes, and then we give feedback or we do questions.
I love it.
And the reason why this is so effective is because people actually apply what we're
Yes.
teaching, and I can see how it's going,
And see
and
how
they
it
can
clicks in their
ask
head.
exactly.
Yeah.
And whether it doesn't click, like if I see all these faces like,
Yeah.
Tom, what are you talking about? I also know that I have to change something. And we see that the students who indeed participate in those live workshops and
Yeah.
then get the knowledge and implement it, they they feel more confident implementing it outside of the calls because they've just practiced it in a safe environment.
Yeah.
And I think that is where we differ from only like, here's an online course, do it yourself, because we know that 95% of people never finish an online course if they are asked to do it themselves. So might as well host these live workshops where people can actually implement what we're teaching
Yeah.
as well.
I
Yeah.
love it. Do you also help counteract that distraction from the short form content world? Because like that's like you said, that's probably part of my problem, which I would agree. How do you counteract that with your students or with your clients?
Yeah, it really depends, because a lot of people, they either go into app blockers and then they avoid the app blocking, or they buy one of these cages. I literally had a student who bought a cage with a timer on top of it. I think it starts by creating awareness of the negative impact
Hmm.
of the phone on your indeed performance.
Hmm.
And when you become aware about how it's impacting your performance, not only in your work, but indeed also in your free time when you want to develop skills for yourself, there is more intent to actively change it. So
Wow.
we really show them like, hey, your attention span is shrinking, your critical thinking skills are shrinking. It's like that. And then people are like, oh, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to be more conscious. And then we apply indeed, a app limit, or we do usually we advise students to not use their phone 30 to 60 minutes before when they wake up, after they wake up, because that
Oh,
usually
geez.
sets the tone a lot. And just like small habit changes, instead of saying no phone, like only 1 hour a day, like that's unrealistic, but small
Yeah.
changes such that they see accomplishments. Yeah.
I love it. With that being said, Tom, where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more to work with you?
Yeah. So if they want to connect with me, that all of my handles are the same. So it's super easy at @the_study coach. Super straightforward. If you look me up on Google, you will find all of our pages. So LinkedIn page, YouTube page, Instagram page, Facebook. My face will be all over the place. And if they indeed want to work directly with us, I would highly recommend that they send a message on Instagram with the word coach or help. One of these two will work. And then my team jumps in to ask them a couple of qualifying questions before hopping on a call, because we have 500,000 followers on Instagram, so the inbox
Yeah.
is extremely busy. So we first want to see if it's a good fit before we indeed dedicate some time to call with them. But like reach out, and if you are in in Europe or the US or in Canada, and you are struggling with procrastination, learning methods, and time management, you work full time, so you think, oh, this might not be something for me.
Sure.
This is probably something for you. They can reach out.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. You guys, I'm gonna put those links in the show notes, and then there'll also be some here on the screen if you're watching this. So if this is something that resonates with you and you're struggling to learn or procrastinate and need help getting over that hump, don't hesitate to reach out to Tom and his team. And I'm sure that they will find a solution that will help you get to the next phase, next level, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish with your studying habits. Tom, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Make it your mission to learn how to learn, because in any field, will yield you results. If you're in sales and you can learn faster from other mentors, you will make more sales. If you're in marketing, it will benefit you. If you're building a business, I think I'm successful because I have the ability to consume fast, implement fast, analyze fast, and these are all learning skills. So do yourself a favor, go search around learning methods, science-based learning techniques, and it will benefit you in many, many areas of your life. So don't
Yeah.
sleep on this. Don't sleep on this skill.
I love it. Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, even just to kind of rewire your learning behavior would be good too, just to kind of break away from the damage that that short form content is doing.
For example, yeah.
But anyways, Tom, thank you so much. I love it. I don't think I've ever had a conversation around learning and science-backed learning and all this before. So this is a first for me, which is unusual. Almost 750 episodes. So that is
I
fantastic.
hope you learned something.
I did
I
learn
hope you learned
something.
something.
Congratulations on all your success in helping people become better, right? Because that's all we
Thank you
want
so
to do at the
much.
end of the day. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.